All right. Hey, Vivek, we're back for another week of coaching. Today, I'm gonna put it to you. Would you like to do some grounding in our session today, or would you like to just dive in? What are you feeling?
We can just dive in, I think.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
got it. Okay. So in our time together, we've got about 60 minutes here. What would you like to explore in our session today?
Um, so I think I would like to keep the coaching request that I sent you, which is about creating consistent results. What I had said is that I noticed your Facebook post about how you're getting consistent results over a period of time, and you're getting more accomplished because of whatever strategies you're using. So I would like to explore that and see what is it that I can adopt in my life to get similar results.
Hmm. Just to check in with you. So you're speaking to, I want to be clear because in it could be really the same thing, but in
Yes.
your message, I thought I saw momentum, like continuous
Yes.
momentum. Is it
Yes.
momentum or is it results? Or is it
Um,
both?
it's both. It's
Yeah.
both. Yes.
Okay. Um, and why is that important to you now to be in a place where you're creating consistent momentum and results?
It's because um, if I look back at my life, it's I have created results in the past, and what I've found missing is that they ebb and flow. Like there are periods where I'm consistent, I'm taking action, I'm getting results. And then there are times where I feel uh, things are not moving, I'm blocked somehow. And and so I would like to explore that, like how to get consistent results or
Hmm.
consistent and have consistent momentum both.
What's the impact of that on you, where at times you feel like you're in that continuous momentum, and then in other times where you're kind of fading away?
So when the fading away happens, it's harder to get back on track. And the longer it continues, the harder it becomes. Um, During those times in life, it's also uh, like self-doubt comes, laziness comes, like just postponing things happen. Like creativity is not there. So all those kind of things start to happen. And when the momentum is there, I'm in flow, then more creative ideas come. Um, the problems are not don't seem as big. Like I can take on more is this energy behind it.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, so there's more joy and more ease when I'm in that sort of flow, in that momentum.
Hmm.
Uh,
So when things start to go south, the self-doubt comes in, as you're kind of saying, like it's harder to get the wheels back in motion, so to speak. And when you're in that place of momentum, like you're in a good creative state, there's flow, things are moving
yes,
for you. Yeah.
yes. Also, like when things are going south, it's also um, it's harder to take action. More fear comes, more doubt comes. Like, doubt I already said, but even fear comes.
Mm,
Uh,
got it. Okay. So you'd mentioned, potentially, hey, maybe some strategies um, might be helpful to look at. But like one of the things that, rather than me sort of just throwing that in there, like when we talk about creating consistent momentum and results, well, like, is there a specific area of your life that you actually see a place for this? How can we sort of narrow
hmm,
that down in terms of focus?
yes. Where do I see? Actually, when I think about it, like for me, it's either like the flow is there and it affects all areas of life, and if it's not there, it affects all areas of life also. So it's like so I don't know if I have an answer to that, like if there's a specific area, but uh, um, like if I look back over the past couple of months, for example, right? um, when my wife was not here, she was out of the country, and I was managing everything. I was in that state where everything was just like, oh, I'm doing it because it needs to be done, and so, like, for example, you know, I did not pick up my guitar for like 2 months or almost 2 months, like that. So there was no practice, and then that shows I'm learning how to play the guitar. So it shows like all my other friends who I'm learning with, they've been practicing, and so in the class, like I can feel it, like, oh, so it's and then the same thing is getting reflected in multiple areas of life. But now that, like, like, for example, I was telling you earlier that this week I rested quite a bit, and because of that, now all the different areas in life are starting to pick up momentum. So it's it's both. I mean, I should say, like, it's either all or nothing is what my experience has been in the past. Um, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that's unique to me, or if that's like, yeah, like, so to rephrase what I'm saying, momentum is one thing which is either all or nothing. The results can be different in different areas of life, but if I'm in that momentum phase, then even if the results are not happening in some certain area of the life, I'm able to come up with, like, either, like, I have the energy to attack that with more force. Does that make sense? Like, is that clear what I'm saying, or?
We'll see.
Okay. Okay.
You know, it's so it's interesting, right? Because you talk, you say like, yeah, I want to create consistent momentum and results, at least that's kind of where we started. And what you're saying here now is like, well, as long as the momentum is there, like you're sort of, it feels like you're kind of at ease to create results.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, where I'd have you, if you looked into like how you want this to look in the future, in terms of this whole dynamic, like what would we see? How would your life be?
Um, yeah. What we would see is that there is there's energy and excitement behind the action that I'm taking for different areas of life. Um, yeah, there's more bias towards action, like, okay, and that oh, uh, that I can make things happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's more energy and excitement in what?
In the actions that I'm taking,
Ah,
like in the uh, in the approach towards different aspects of life.
okay.
Yeah.
So in the future, there, in this place of creating continuous momentum, that, yeah, that really, it sounds like the thing that you would see differently is that the action steps you're taking, you're experiencing more joy, probably, well, really, as you said before, like more of a flow state in a sense.
Yes. Yes.
Got it.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I think I might know what the answer to this is, because I like like I shared with you this about the whole thing with the volleyball team. The other thing that happened today is, I think I shared that also in my message to you, is that I had this sort of chat with this hiring manager, and we came up with the things that I would deliver to her to make my case for this role that I'm applying for. And it didn't take me long today to just get that going and put it in a one-pager document, collect all the materials I needed to collect, uh, call one of the persons I was asked for reference for, and they're like, yeah, we'll give you a reference. So I'm like, it was just, I was super focused on it. It was like, and it was very effortless. It's like, oh, this is, I was just like, um, yeah, I was excited about it. I was in like exactly the thing that we're talking about, the momentum and the flow. I was in that state today for that particular, that aspect. And that's probably the first time I'm feeling that kind of state as far as my work is concerned in the last so many months. And so the thing that I think is the thing that made a big difference this past week is the amount of rest I got. Like the recovery period for all this time that I've been going nonstop is what has brought this flow state, is the connection that I'm making. I think that's what is this. I don't know if that's the whole story, but at least I think that's part of the story.
Okay. So so you're noticing the connection between the rest, like just rest and recovery is leading to more ease, more just effortlessness in this. I say effortlessness, but really just like the ease aspect in taking the action that you want to take and sort of being, committed to that process.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. So where does that leave us in terms of our conversation? Does that, like, and being completely frank with you, I mean, has that opened up a new pathway for you to explore in this conversation, or do you see a continuation of the conversation we're having?
I think the only, like, so one thing is that I don't know if that's the complete story. I think that's definitely a big piece of the story of this, what we're trying to create. And so that is one question, like, is there something else other than the rest part? And the second thing is also making rest a conscious part of the plan is the other piece.
Okay, so can you say that first part again? So I heard rest is, making sure rest is part of the plan. What was the first part there?
Is rest the only missing piece, or are there other missing pieces that create this flow state, or that produce this momentum? Yeah, that I don't know the answer to.
Do you want to check with yourself just to see, what comes?
I think so. What's coming up is that with rest comes awareness, like self-awareness, and that's the real piece. It's not so much the rest; it's the self-awareness. But the self-awareness comes because the mind is rested. I think that's what's coming up for me. Yeah.
So let me put it to you, based on the conversation that we've had so far, what is our work here tonight? What's really at the heart of what you're wanting to explore?
So it feels like that I have the answer to what we were looking for. What what we can do, we can go one step forward, is to making rest part of the plan. And I think that will probably complete this, is
Okay.
the sense I'm getting. Yeah. The other thought that I just had was, in one of the previous conversations, we had talked about play and playfulness. And I was just noticing that those two are also very connected. Like when I'm rested, I'm more playful, and there's more play. And so, and like we had talked about in one of the previous conversations about making play a part of life. And I've been doing that. And what I'm noticing also is that rest is also as important, if not more, as the play part. And the two feed off each other also. Or maybe actually no, rest is more important than play, because rest creates play in its wake. That's what I'm noticing, I think. Or that's what's coming to me.
Yes, so there's a connection between the more you're rested, the more sort of that playful energy comes out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it. So now the piece that you've just mentioned here is, let me check with you. It sounds like the place that you want to explore for the rest of our time is, how to bring rest into this whole plan, into this life that you were creating. Is that the place that you want to explore for tonight?
Yes.
Yeah. What for?
We talked about it. What for? Right? We said that, like, when the rest is there, then there's ease. Then there's more. Flow state comes easily. Playfulness comes more easily.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it leads to ease, flow, play.
Yes.
And when you feel like you're in that state of ease and flow and play, like, what's life like from that place?
It's more impactful. It's like, people around me notice that. Yeah. There's more connection with others. There's more connection with myself. So all of that happens.
Yeah. So, and yet here we are talking about bringing rest into your life, bringing this rest as just a way of being. What would that look like for you? Again, if we put that same question out of like, if you look into, the future, how would you want rest to be a part of your life?
I think so. I would be more aware and honest about when I need the rest, and not be not shy away from asking for that, or not, or permitting myself to rest, rather than looking at, okay, all the things that need to be done that are pending.
Choosing it.
Choosing rest.
Yeah. Even in those moments where it feels like there's a lot on your agenda, a lot of things to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, it sounds like, really a place for us to look at is like, yeah, in our conversation of it sounds like a place especially to look is when you're busy, when you're, overloaded, or you got, things to do, still choosing into that rest, still,
Yes.
putting something in place that, it's almost like a structure in place that you empower, in the times when maybe you might forget or you might not want to.
Mhm. Yeah.
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 Okay. I realize I kind of threw that one in there, but kind of makes sense,
It
based
makes sense.
on
Yeah.
where you're looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in line with that, like, what do you want to walk away with in our conversation? Like, what would help you move this forward?
Mm. So the question I'm asking myself is like, what does that structure look like um, in my life? I think, uh, yeah, one piece of it probably is like just consistent bedtime and not having the phone near me at bedtime. I think that's for sure one place. But I'm wondering if there's anything, if what else is there? Um, yeah. So the other thing that this also came up earlier this week was that in the past I would go to a silent meditation retreat like a couple of times a year, and it's been over a year that I've gone to one, and so I signed up for one, and so I think making that part of the schedule, like that way it's already planned out when I'm doing them
Mm,
in the year. I think that would help be very helpful.
okay.
Yeah.
So putting some structures,
Yes.
some scheduling in place.
Yes.
Um, and you spoke to something that's, worth even looking at is like, you know, you've mentioned how you want this to be in the future, with choosing the rest and um, giving yourself rest even when things feel busy. And like, what do you notice about yourself now? What's the relationship you have to rest in this moment?
It's funny, like the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm noticing that I don't really have rest as part of my vocabulary. Like
Mm,
it's either sleep or it's like doing something. And that's very interesting. Like it's easy for me to say that, oh, like I'm tired and so I will not work on this problem because it needs a lot more focus and I'll do it tomorrow. But then instead of then going and resting, I would pick something else that needs to be done around the house, or whatever needs my attention in my surroundings, and I would go to that, or I would pick up the phone and check social media and things like that, rather than just resting. I think that's the shift I need to make, is
mm.
that when I notice that I am tired, I should just say, okay, I need to rest. um, like I it's almost like I go to the point where there's no other option but to rest or fall asleep. Like to fall asleep, not even to rest, to fall asleep, rather than consciously saying, okay, I'm going to rest for whatever, take a nap, or just lie down for some time to replenish myself and go, or
Mhm.
go for a walk outside or something like that. I don't like those are the pieces I think that I can start to make changes there. Yeah.
Okay. So, what's the belief there that, again, you're already looking at some places that can potentially be shifted, but like it's worth looking at, like, what's the belief in that rest only comes through sleep for you?
Mm. Yeah, it's almost like rest is a waste of time, or taking a walk is a waste of time. Like I used to go for consistent walks when the dog had to be walked, but since the dog passed away like a year or so ago, I have not gone for walks, and it's like it's crazy. I used to enjoy those walks. It's like, but it was tied to a job, right? It was like, oh, the dog had to be walked, so I would
Hmm.
walk. And now I don't do it. So it's it's funny. It's almost like the rest has to be work for it to happen. It's very ironic. Like it needs to be a chore, or it needs to be a to-do list on a to-do list for it to happen. Yeah,
There has to be motion in your rest.
that's emotion in my rest. Yeah, that's a little messed up, I think. It's like, okay.
Yeah. So what's the impact of that belief that rest is a waste of time?
Yeah, that's what we said before, right? If I don't rest, or if I delay rest, then the quality of what is happening goes down. The momentum goes down. There's an like if that accumulates, then the momentum stops.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's worth even looking one level deeper. So the quality goes down and the momentum stops. And then what happens to you?
Um, like if I just look back at whatever last few months, I didn't take rest, and then it was at a point where I had to take like a whole week off to recover, right? Um, and I'm curious, like if I had just interspersed rest every day, like and taken care of, like maybe just gone for a walk or something like that to recover, uh, like would I have, like um, yeah, I wouldn't feel as stuck. I think that's what I'm thinking. But yeah,
So so the impact of it is that you end up having to take more recovery time.
yes.
And then what do you notice about the thought pattern that happens as well?
The Like the longer I go without rest and recovery, the harder so then more doubt comes. It's more difficult to take action. The more I'm in my head rather than moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so what I'm thinking right now is that, so during this time, I had a structure in place to, go to the gym 3 times a week, whatever. And I thought I was taking care of my health. And I was like, I felt really, um, like a marked improvement in my strength and stuff like that. But the rest piece was missing. I think that's what I'm realizing now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that took its toll. So
What was that?
that took its toll.
Yeah.
That took its toll. Yeah.
What is it, what does it feel like to see this pattern sort of in front of you from the belief of rest is a waste of time?
It's like, that's a silly belief, right? I mean, it's like that's what I'm like. It's like laughable. It's when you say it out like that. It's so. Anyways, so what I'm noticing is that that if I shift that belief, then it has a ripple effect on so many different things. How I feel, how I show up in different aspects of my life. How long can I go without totally breaking down, kind of thing. So all of so there's a ripple effect of shifting that belief.
Mm-hmm. What's the new belief that you want to have?
Rest is an important part of life. I deserve the rest at the time I need it. Taking rest is actually honoring the life within me. And the more rested I am, the more effective I am.
Mm-hmm. Would you want to write that down somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. It sounds very important.
that felt like something worth writing down.
Yes.
I got the first part. You said rest is important and I deserve it. And you can add what you want from there.
Yes.
Well, it'll be on the recording too.
Yes.
When you're done typing it, read it back to me.
Okay. I think I missed one line. So the first one I said was rest is an important part of life.
Mm-hmm.
I deserve to rest when I need it. And then I missed a line. And then I said, the more rested I am, the more effective I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the mind is going on a little tangent, but what I'm noticing is that this conversation and then the previous conversation that we had about play, it's like it's almost like a scenic route that we take where something is not working and then you look deeper into it and then the solution is actually very like obvious in hindsight. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? It's like, yeah. But I mean, so what I'm thinking about is that the yes, the solution, quote unquote solution, is obvious in hindsight. At the same time, that journey was very important for that wisdom to become a part of my life. That if we had not talked about it, if things had not happened this way, and we had not dug deeper into it, then it's just like it's not that I've not heard before that, oh yeah, you should rest, but it didn't stick. And that's the value of that's the value of these conversations that I'm noticing.
Yeah. Beautiful awareness, and totally understandable that, yeah, of course, you could go search on the internet right now and find thousands of articles that'll say rest is important, and probably just scroll right past it. Oh, I've seen that before. And it sometimes requires us to just sit with having a space like this, to be able to sit with it and just feel it and see the impact of what one way has been. Like you said, like it's been a journey to get to this moment here. So while the solution seems easy, it's like, yeah, it happened. This has been your journey. So if we check in here, the request we came to was how to make rest part of the plan, part of your daily living. How are we doing right now?
So where we are at right now is that it's clear that the importance of it is clear. And at least, like, I have one thing that, going for walks, like, 2 or 3 times a week, that I can make a part. That I can make part of the plan. We also talked about making the silent retreats every 4 to 6 months, whatever, part of the plan. And I think what probably is missing is, if it's not a walk, what else could it be in a day? Right? Yeah. I'm thinking maybe taking a nap if it's needed, or reading a book or something like that. I think I probably need to experiment with what works, what doesn't work. Maybe.
I noticed, as you're sort of in the thought process there of like, oh, what are some other ways that I could bring rest? It felt like there was a little bit of a struggle there.
Yeah, I mean, so the thought that came was, like, for example, my wife, she loves to watch TV to rest, and that TV doesn't bring me rest. For me, it's like it drains me more than relaxes me. So I was curious, like, what does bring me rest? So that was the hesitation. Yeah.
And it's place to look is, what if you bring play into this and really like allow yourself to be with the possibilities here. Everything's on the table of which you could explore. Even stretch the feel, what might have been at one time a barrier of like, oh, I can't do that. I can't fit this. I don't have the time for this. just allowing yourself to be in the space of, yeah, if the more I'm rested, the more impact and, effect I can have.
Yeah.
Would it be helpful to just, open up the possibilities there?
Yes. Yeah, I think I can get back to doing yoga. I used to do yoga. I used to have a consistent practice, and somehow that it just dropped off. And just doing some postures was so relaxing because I would take my time. I would just be with it. Yes, I can bring that back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another one.
Okay. And what if again, there's no wrong answers here. And so a place just to sort of be with is like, yeah, like what would actually excite you about this? And maybe we've already touched on it, but like if rest gets to be this beacon of your life, a place that's empowered in your life, where else might you explore? What else might you try?
I can't believe I'm having trouble with coming up with things that for rest. Yeah. Yeah. Like maybe just I used to go bike riding with my son, and we would go pretty much every weekend. And there used to be so much fun. Like we would bond together as a family. We would be out in nature, and we didn't do that the whole of last year. So that's another one that's like, oh, that was so good. It was really cool. Yeah, maybe some drawing or something could also be there. Just draw. Okay.
What do you notice about the energy of just being able to explore, just to be with what's possible?
There's a little bit of a struggle because like I think I'm sure there are more options here than I'm coming up with. That's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the more I think about that, the more I'm drawing a blank. It's like, okay, but maybe it'll come. So, yeah. Yeah.
What do you notice about the struggle when you're in that place of struggle? What happens?
Like a part of me wants that struggle to end and come up with some more options, and then a part of me is like, if I start struggling, more answers will come on their own. So that, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bit of discomfort in the struggle, wanting it to end. Part of you's okay with it. Yeah. So where do we go from here? We've got 15 minutes. What else do we need to explore?
I think I've so what I will do is come up with like 3 or 4 things that I can do and sprinkle them through the week. Like, okay, one day walk, one day something else, whatever. And I'll send that to you so that we have it, you know, So yeah, so that I'll do this, I'll send it to you, I'll put it on my calendar and see what, what can I do on what day, different things on different days,
Mm-hmm.
and start to be more intentional about rest, I think. Rest and play. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And okay. Anything you need around that?
No, I think yeah, I'm in a good place for that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Are you open to one more practice?
Yes.
Cool. The place that I would put you is, it's actually, it's interesting now that you talked about one of the places being, how to choose into rest when there's moments of, busyness or, lots of things happening. And that's exactly the place that I would put to you is, yes, how will you remember, that statement that you created? Whereas before you had this belief of, rest is a waste of time. So how will you how will you remember to empower this new belief that you've created?
I'll put it on a sticky note right here on the screen. I think that's what I'll do.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good. So just, put it on the sticky note. Mm-hmm. And then the last might not be the last. You had mentioned both, having some structures around, going to sleep, putting your phone
Yes.
away. Is there anything that you want to put in place there?
I think what I'm going to do is, okay, not I think, what I will do is I'll just start to put the phone on charge downstairs in the kitchen rather than bringing it up to the bedroom at night. I think that'll solve like a majority of the problems.
Okay.
Not looking at the phone first thing in the morning, not looking at it the last thing in the night, all that will go away with that change.
Okay, cool. And that's the commitment you're making?
Yes, that's a commitment. Yes.
Is there, an accountability structure you want to put around that? Like, is there like a certain amount of days? Do you want to give yourself a little bit of grace? Like, you choose.
No, I think I'll just do it every day. That's it.
Okay.
It's way more important for me to be rested than the phone. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And then I'll mention it because
Okay.
it's in my space. There might not be anything here, but it's a place to look as, this new belief that you have, this place of empowering, the more I'm rested, the more impactful I can be. What barriers might get in the way of that? What barriers might you be looking out for?
So the two that come to my mind is just in my immediate environment. It's like sometimes, I know I need to rest, but then there is, a class that I need to take my son to, or something like that. Like there's a sort of like a duty that needs to happen. That's one. The other one, this actually happened last night. So I was ready to go to bed, but my wife was, she was watching these funny videos on her phone, and I wanted to go to sleep, but then a part of me was really enjoying watching her be so laugh like she's never laughed like that before, which is so I enjoyed that. And then I was later thinking like, oh, I really wanted to sleep like an hour ago. And so that's the part of it that I think might be bad. But yes.
Okay, so you know, the potential distractions of your wife being on the phone. What was the first one you mentioned?
I mean, I know I'm tired, but I need to take care of something
Oh
for my
yeah.
son.
Okay. So what do you see there for yourself? Again, it doesn't have to be a practice, but like yeah, I'll just put it right back to you. Like, given that there might be some barriers, is there anything you see to take on?
I think these two things that we said, right, about putting something every day, whether it's a walk or something, and then the second thing with the phone, I think those two should take care of it. And then if it doesn't work, I will revisit it. I think for now, this is fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. As we start to wind down here, is there anything else that you need? Any questions that you have?
Not on this topic, no.
Another topic, but not this one.
No, I was like, we had talked about momentum and results, and then I was reminded of the conversation we had before we started the recording on the results and the energy behind them.
Yeah.
But I think that's for a separate conversation. So,
is there anything that you feel you could get in the next 8 minutes? Or even in anything that could be shared point blank or anything, or you could even share it with me after the call or that type of thing as well.
I'm curious, we talked about these two different examples and two different energies behind, enrollment for the volleyball team versus enrollment for the program. And what I'm curious is so I noticed those two different patterns, right? And what I don't really understand is what is driving those patterns and how can I shift from one to the other. That's what is the question, I think.
Yeah, it's a great question.
And at least in my mind, I'm thinking it's a longer conversation, but I'm open to what you have to share in that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I would put to you, which may not help you, but it might, is so noticing that the feel there is okay, these are two separate ways of enrollment, right? From enrolling people into a volleyball group as opposed to enrolling people into your program. And the place that I'd have you look at for now is that what if the energy is the exact same? What if
that is my question. I know the energy is different, and what I'm not sure about is why is the energy different, and how can I shift that energy from one way to the other way? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I would give you for now is just, and again, this might not be the most helpful, and we can talk about it later, but is really just what are you actually choosing into? Because notice that the choosing into volleyball and how smooth and seamless that process was, I have no doubts you could bring that same energy to the enrollment of your program. So it becomes a choice. And notice that there's a part of you that is trying to find the difference.
So, okay, I think I need to sit with this a little bit more, because the question for me that's coming up is how? Okay, how do I go from this to this, right? But what you're saying is the answer is in that choosing, and that's not registered for me yet. So I think That's what I need to sit with.
Yeah, and feel free to sit with it, and if you want to share it over the week, what you come with, you can.
Yes.
We could also have our next conversation around that piece of enrollment as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Great work. What are you taking away from our session today?
So the one thing that I mentioned before is sometimes you have to go through this journey and really reflect deeply to be able to adopt a wisdom in your life. Vitamin,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if it's sometimes or if it's most of the times, but yes, for sure. Yeah. The experience and then the reflection is what makes this the learning solid. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this conversation.
Yeah. It's and the thing that can be interesting about it all is very much like you bring, is that noticing the humility and the play in just this journey itself. Like it's sometimes, and this is not by no means, this is a reflection of myself, but like I notice for myself, I often make the journey very serious. Why didn't I get this earlier? Or, like, oh, why am I now coming to this realization? And like, there's true, this is our journey.
Yes.
And every step of the way is different. So great, beautiful, beautiful awareness. And thanks for showing that the power in just when we trust our intuition and when we give ourselves a space like this to explore, as you said, like how quickly the answers can come for you.
Yes.
It's beautiful, like beautiful modeling of that. Anything missing, disempowering, or incomplete? Okay. So is this a good place for us to complete here?
Yes.
All right. I gave you a little bit of acknowledgement already, but anything that you'd like to be acknowledged for today?
No. No. I'm in a good place.
Notice that relationship too, right? It's amazing in a coaching conversation how every piece there's a nugget there, right? And again, there's no right or wrong to it, but like, look at the amazing work you did in this conversation. And then we get to the end, you're like, nah, I don't need to be acknowledged. May I acknowledge you?
Yes.
Yeah, Vivek. Thanks for the awareness that you brought to the entire conversation, both the conversation we had before the recording and throughout. I mean, I think I've mentioned it before, your ability to connect the dots in the conversation and really just create the pathways for yourself makes my job very easy, of just reflecting things back to you and just holding the space for you. So I really want to acknowledge you for your brilliant awareness that you have, and your ability just to see things, to see, the impact of things and the pathways that you want to create. I really want to acknowledge you for your strength that you've had on this life journey. I the the willingness to say that, hey, I actually need rest in a world that, you know, just promotes this going mentality and achievement and you know, basically going until we drop kind of thing. That stand for rest and recovery and spaciousness, it's a really powerful one. So I really want to acknowledge you for that. And lastly, in that, you know, the love that you're directing back towards yourself, and I would say also like the modeling of that, right? By you taking this stand of bringing rest and recovery as a way of being, that like I have no doubts that that's going to have an impact on the people that you're also connected to. You know, connected to, as you said, in both like your daily living. I mean, it's all daily living, but like your immediate connections, but also like in the work that you're doing. And like I just you know, those connect, though, that willingness to stand for rest and recovery is going to have ripples for others. So really beautiful work, and thanks for just bringing that.
Thank you.
Oh, I almost ended the call. That's not what I want to do.